Jake Morrison sat alone in the research station on Epsilon 7. The wind outside made the metal walls shake. He had been alone for 6 months now. His team had left on the last supply ship and he stayed behind to finish the work. The job was to study the ice and rocks on this frozen moon. It was important work, but it was lonely work. The station had rooms for 12 people, but now only Jake lived there. He walked through empty hallways. He ate his meals alone. He talked to himself sometimes just to hear a voice. At night, he watched old movies on his tablet. He had seen every movie at least twice. Some of them he had watched 5 or 6 times. Jake told himself he liked being alone. He said he could work better without distractions. But deep down he knew the truth. He was lonely. Very lonely. The kind of lonely that made his chest hurt. The kind of lonely that made him forget what his own voice sounded like. He was eating a protein bar and watching a movie when the alarm went off. Jake jumped up and ran to the control room. A red light flashed on the scanner. Someone was sending a distress signal. A ship was in trouble and needed help. Jake stared at the screen. No ships ever came to Epsilon 7 except for the supply runs. The next supply ship was not due for 3 more months. But the signal was clear. A ship was dying and it needed a place to land. Jake grabbed the communication controls. His hands shook a little. After 6 months of silence, he was about to talk to someone. "This is Epsilon Research Station," he said. "You can land here. I repeat, you can land here. I will help you." The answer came back in a strange language. It was full of clicks and musical sounds. The computer worked to translate it. After a moment, words appeared on the screen. "Need help. Life support failing. Permission to land?" "Yes, come in," Jake said. His heart beat fast. "Land near the station. I will come outside to help you." He watched through the window as the ship came down through the gray sky. It was small and badly damaged. Black marks covered the metal. Parts of it looked torn and broken. The ship landed hard, sending up clouds of ice and snow. Jake put on his thick suit and helmet. Outside, the cold was terrible. The wind tried to push him over. His breath made fog inside his helmet. He walked carefully to the alien ship. The door of the ship opened with a hiss. Steam came out. Then Jake saw the creature inside. It was tall, maybe 7 feet. It had 4 arms instead of 2. Its body was covered with scales that looked like crystal. The scales were blue and purple and seemed to shine. The creature's face was almost like a human face, but the eyes were bigger and glowed with a golden light. It wore no suit to protect it from the cold. The creature stepped out of the ship and almost fell. Jake ran forward and caught it. The creature was heavy and very cold to touch. "Please," the creature said. A small box on its chest translated the words to English. The voice sounded like music and desperation mixed together. "I am Zirek of the Kiever people. My ship is broken. I will die without help. Come with me," Jake said. Quickly. He half-carried, half-dragged Zirek toward the station. The alien moved slowly. Its crystal scales were starting to turn white with frost. Jake could feel Zirek shaking. Inside the station, Jake shut the door and turned up the heat as high as it would go. Zirek fell to the floor. The alien's whole body shook. The shaking was violent and scary to watch. Jake grabbed his medical scanner and checked Zirek. The readings made his stomach drop. "You need heat," Jake said. "Your body is too cold. You are like a lizard. You need warmth to live." "Yes," Zirek said between shakes. "My people need heat. The heating system in my ship broke. I hit asteroids. I thought I could reach a Kivor station, but I was wrong. I am too far." "Too cold?" Jake looked around. The heating system was already at maximum power. He grabbed every blanket he could find and wrapped them around Zirek. But it was not enough. Zyrek's scales kept turning more and more gray. The alien's breathing became weak. Jake remembered his survival training from years ago. When someone was freezing to death, the best way to warm them was with body heat. Skin-to-skin contact. It was an old method, but it worked. "I have an idea," Jake said. "But you might not like it." Zirek's golden eyes looked at him. "What idea?" "Humans make a lot of body heat. Our bodies are warm. If I hold you, if we touch skin to skin, my body heat will warm you. It might save your life." There was silence. Zirek stared at Jake. The translator box clicked and hummed. "You would do this?" Zirek asked.
"Touch me, hold me?"
"I am a stranger. I am not even your species." "It is just a survival method," Jake said. His face felt hot. "Humans have done this for thousands of years. When someone is freezing, Another person holds them and shares body heat. I know it might seem strange. Strange? Zirek made a sound. The translator said it was laughter, but it sounded bitter. Human, you do not understand. For my people, touching like this is only for mates, only for family. To touch a stranger, especially from another species, it is forbidden. It is shameful. But you will die, Jake said quietly. Zyrek's scales changed color again. Jake could not read what the color meant. Maybe death is better than shame. The words hurt Jake more than they should have. Here was someone choosing to die rather than accept help, rather than accept closeness. Jake understood that feeling too well. How many times had he pushed people away? How many times had he chosen to be alone because it felt safer? Listen, Jake said. His voice was firm now. I have been alone here for 6 months. 6 whole months with no one to talk to, no one to see, no human contact at all. I understand being proud. I understand wanting to keep your distance. But sometimes you have to accept help, even when it is hard. Zirek's breathing was getting worse, all 4 arms wrapped around the alien's own body, trying to keep warm. Why do you care if I die? Jake stopped. Why did he care? This was a stranger. An alien he had just met. It would be easier to just let nature take its course. To say he tried his best. But looking at Zirek shaking on the floor, Jake knew why. He was tired of being alone. He was tired of the silence. He was tired of feeling empty. Here was a chance to save a life. A chance to connect with someone, even if that someone was completely alien. Because I am lonely, Jake said simply. And I think you might be lonely too. Zirek's eyes went wide. The alien said nothing for a long moment. Then slowly, Zirek spoke. Okay, human. If you will share your warmth, I will accept it. But I warn you, if I live, I will owe you a life debt. That is our way. I do not want a debt, Jake said. I just want you to live. Jake helped Zirek stand up and walk to his bedroom. It was the warmest room in the station. Zirek's body felt like ice in his hands. Jake put every blanket he owned on the bed. He helped Zirek lie down. I need to be touching you directly, Jake explained. He felt awkward saying it. The heat will not transfer through clothes. Zirek's scales turned dark blue. I understand. Jake got into the bed and put his arms around Zirek's body. He pressed his chest against the alien's back. The cold was shocking, like hugging ice. But slowly, very slowly, he felt his warmth moving into Zirek. The violent shaking began to ease. Thank you, Zirek whispered. You are saving my life, human. Jake, he said. My name is Jake. Jake, Zirek repeated. The translator made his name sound musical. I am Zirek. I swear to you, when I am strong, I will repay this. They lay there together while the wind howled outside. Jake felt Zirek's body slowly getting warmer. The crystal scales began to brighten and return to their blue and purple colors. For the first time in 6 months, Jake did not feel alone. The first night was hard. Zirek's body temperature went up and down. Sometimes the alien felt warmer, then suddenly would turn cold again. Jake had to wake up many times to check. He barely slept at all, but by morning, Zirek's scales were bright blue and purple again. The alien was breathing normally. You did not sleep, Zirek said as Jake finally got out of bed. His muscles hurt from lying in one position all night. You needed the heat, Jake said. He stretched his arms and back. How do you feel? Better. Much stronger. Zirek sat up slowly. All 4 arms moved in a pattern Jake did not understand. You gave up your own rest for me. Anyone would do the same thing. No, Zirek said firmly. They would not. My people would not have done this. They would have honored my choice to die with dignity. They would not force intimacy on me. Jake made coffee. The smell filled the small room. That sounds like a sad way to live. Does it? Zirek tilted its head to one side. Is your species different? Humans are social, Jake explained. He gave Zirek a heated gel pack. The alien grabbed it quickly and held it close. We need other people. We need touch and conversation. Without it, we get sick. That is why I am here alone. I thought I could handle it, but... He stopped talking. But you cannot, Zirek finished the sentence. You are lonely. Yes. After breakfast, they went to look at Zirek's ship. The damage was bad. The heating core was completely destroyed. Several important parts were missing or broken. Even with Jake's equipment, it would take weeks to make new parts. You need to stay here, Jake said. At least until the next supply ship comes. Then we can get proper parts. Zirek's scales flickered. The color changed quickly. Jake was starting to recognize this as a sign of worry. But at night, I cannot stay warm alone in this cold place. Jake felt his face get hot. Then we share warmth again. It is not a problem for me. For you, maybe not, Zirek said quietly. But for me, Jake, you do not understand what you are asking. Among my people, sharing sleep is the most intimate thing possible. It is how mates bond. It is how families show trust. I am already shamed by accepting once. To do it every night, the alien's forearms wrapped around its own body. My people would exile me forever if they knew. Jake put down his tools. Zirek, I am not asking you to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. But you need to understand something. You will die if you do not stay warm. And honestly, I do not want you to die. Being alone these past months has been terrible. Having someone to talk to, even someone from another world, it means everything to me. You really are that lonely, Zirek said. It sounded surprised. Yes, and maybe that makes me selfish wanting you to stay. But I think you might be lonely too. Zirek was silent for a long time. Then the alien made a sound like wind chimes. You are right. I am the last of my family. My mates died in a plague 3 years ago. I have been traveling alone since then. I could not bond with others. I did not want the intimacy that comes with my people's ways. Maybe that is why I took the dangerous path through the asteroids. Maybe I was hoping. The alien's voice got quiet. Hoping for an end, Jake asked gently. Or a beginning, Zirek admitted. I do not know anymore. Jake walked over to Zirek. Carefully, he put his hand on one of Zyrek's arms. The scales were warm now. They felt smooth and nice to touch. Then let this be a beginning. Stay here. Share warmth with me. We will both be less alone. Zirek looked at Jake's hand on its arm, then up at Jake's face. You would do this? Night after night, holding a stranger, an alien, just so neither of us has to be alone? Yes, Jake said without hesitation. I would. Zirek's scales changed through many colors. The translator box hummed and clicked, like it was struggling to find words. Then I accept, Jake Morrison. I will stay, and maybe in time we will not be strangers anymore. Days passed, then weeks. A routine formed. During the day, Jake and Zirek worked together. They did the geological surveys. They tried to repair the damaged ship. Jake discovered that Zirek's people understood crystal structures very well. The alien could read the ice formations on Epsilon 7 like Jake might read a book. Zirek explained things Jake had not understood about the moon's geology. At night, they shared Jake's bed. Their bodies pressed together for warmth. What started as survival slowly became something else. It became comfortable. It became a connection. It became trust that neither had felt in years. Jake learned that Zyrek's people communicated with color changes in their scales as much as with words. Blue meant calm. Purple meant curiosity. Red meant anger or strong emotion. After a while, Jake could understand Zyrek's feelings without needing the translator. Zirek learned about human laughter, about the way Jake's face changed when he made a new discovery, about the sadness in his eyes when he talked about his past. The alien had never met a species so open with feelings, so willing to show weakness. Your people are strange, Zirek said one night as they lay together. The station made its usual sounds around them. You show all your emotions. You do not hide your hearts, is that bad? Jake asked. His arm was draped over Zirek's middle body. No, Zirek said. Its scales shifted to a soft pink color Jake had not seen before. It is beautiful. My people hide everything. We are so afraid of intimacy that we cannot truly know each other. But you humans, you rush into connection. You do not care about the consequences. It does not always work out, Jake admitted. I have been hurt many times. That is why I took this job alone. I thought being isolated would be easier than risking more pain. And now? Jake held Zirek a little tighter. Now I think I was wrong. This, right here, even if it is strange, it is better than being alone. You are better than being alone. Zyrek's scales blazed bright gold. The alien made a sound like singing. Jake, I must tell you something. In my culture, when scales turn gold, it means something important. It means deep affection, bonding, what you might call love, though our love is different from human love. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Are you saying? I am saying that these weeks with you have changed me, Zirek interrupted. I came to this moon ready to die. Instead, I found someone who taught me that intimacy is not weakness, that needing another being is not shameful, You showed me a way of living I never knew was possible. Zyrek, Jake said. His voice was thick with emotion. I feel the same way. I know we are different species. I know this situation cannot last forever. But I do not think about endings, Zyrek said softly. Not when we have only just begun. They lay in silence. The warmth between them was not just physical anymore. Something had changed. Some invisible wall had fallen down. Two lonely beings, separated by evolution and by light years of space, had found connection in the most unlikely place. The next morning, Jake's scanner made a sound. A message was coming in. The supply ship was arriving early, weeks ahead of schedule. That is good news, Zarek said, but its scales turned gray. They can bring the parts I need. I can fix my ship. I can leave. Yes, Jake said. The word felt hollow. That is great. Neither of them moved to answer the message. They stood in the common room. The weight of separation was heavy on them both. Unless, Zyrek said slowly. All four arms fidgeted nervously. Unless you do not want me to leave. Jake turned to face the alien fully. What are you saying? I am saying that I have been thinking. Zyrek continued speaking. The alien's scales changed colors rapidly, showing nervousness. My people exile those who break our intimacy rules. But I am already alone. I have no family left, no mates, no one who would miss me if I disappeared. And you finished your mission here. You said yourself that you did not want to return to Earth. You did not want to face the loneliness of your crowded cities. Zyrek. Jake breathed out the name. Come with me, the alien said. Its scales shifted through a dozen colors at once. See my world. See the stars beyond your system. I have a ship. We will repair it together. We can travel and explore. We can be less lonely together. I know it is impossible. I know our species are not meant to bond this way. But I do not care anymore. You have melted something in me that I thought was frozen forever. Jake felt tears forming in his eyes. You really want that? A human traveling with you? But your people would exile you. They already have in every way that matters, Zyrek said. But you, Jake Morrison, you gave me something I thought I lost forever. You gave me hope. The hope that there is more to life than just surviving. The hope that connection is worth the risk. Jake crossed the room and wrapped his arms around Zyrek. He felt the warmth of the alien's body, the smooth texture of its scales, the steady rhythm of its breathing. Yes, he whispered. Yes, I will come with you. I do not want to be alone anymore either. Zyrek's scales burst into brilliant gold. All four of the alien's arms wrapped around Jake in return. Then we will not be alone. Never again. The supply ship arrived 2 days later. A woman named Kate Sullivan was the pilot. She unloaded crates and supplies. She looked at Jake and Zyrek standing close together and raised one eyebrow. She did not say anything at first. So, Kate finally said, looks like you have been busy out here. You could say that, Jake replied. He could not stop smiling. Kate helped them make the parts they needed for Zyrek's ship. She did not ask questions about where Jake slept. She did not comment on the way Jake's hand would rest on one of Zyrek's arms when they stood together. She simply did her job. When the work was done, she shook Jake's hand. Good luck out there, Kate said. Whatever you are doing, wherever you are going, I hope you find what you are looking for. I think I already found it, Jake said. He looked at Zyrek. The repairs took another week. Jake sent his final reports to the research organization. He carefully left out the details about Zyrek. He left out the part about sharing warmth every night. He left out the part about falling in love with an alien. He packed his personal things into bags. He transferred his computer files to a portable drive. On the morning they were supposed to leave, Jake walked through the station one last time. He looked at the empty rooms, the quiet hallways, the place that had been both his prison and his salvation. Do you regret anything? Zyrek asked from the doorway. No, Jake said. This place taught me something important. The worst kind of cold is not the kind outside. It is the cold inside. The isolation we choose because we are afraid of being hurt. And now I am choosing warmth, Jake said. In every way, they boarded Zyrek's ship together. The repairs held strong. As they lifted off from Epsilon 7, Jake looked down at the frozen moon getting smaller below them. He felt no sadness, no fear, only excitement for what was coming. Where should we go first? Jake asked as they entered orbit. Zyrek's scales shifted to a beautiful mix of colors, golden blue and bright purple. There is a system I know. 3 jumps from here. It has a planet with warm oceans. With forests that glow in the dark, we could stop there, rest, learn more about each other. Sounds perfect. As the ship jumped to faster travel, Jake sat beside Zyrek in the cockpit. The alien's hand, one of four, reached out and held his. The touch was not strange anymore. Not awkward. It was simply theirs. Jake, Zyrek said quietly, I know humans have ceremonies for bonding. Marriages, you call them. My people have something similar. I wonder if perhaps— Yes, Jake interrupted, laughing. Whatever you are about to ask, yes. We have time to figure out how to blend our traditions. We have all the time in the universe now. Zyrek's scales glowed so bright they lit up the cockpit. You know, when I landed on that frozen moon, I thought I was dying. In a way, I was. The person I was before, isolated and afraid and frozen, that version of me died in your arms. And now? Now I am alive, Zyrek said simply. Truly, completely alive. And I have you to thank for it. Jake squeezed Zyrek's hand. I think we saved each other. They traveled through space toward the first planet. They talked about the worlds they would visit, about the discoveries they would make, about the life they would build together. Neither knew exactly what the future would bring. But they knew one thing for certain. They would face it together. The journey to the first planet took 3 days. During that time, Jake learned how to operate Zyrek's ship. The controls were designed for 4 arms, but Jake managed. Zyrek taught him the basics of navigation, how to read the star charts, how to avoid dangerous areas of space. Jake taught Zyrek about human culture, about music and art, about the foods humans ate, about the way humans showed affection. Some things translated well between their species, others did not make sense at all. But they laughed together at the differences. At night, they shared the sleeping chamber on the ship. It was smaller than the bed on Epsilon 7. They had to press even closer together. Neither of them minded. The warmth they shared was about more than survival now. It was about comfort, about trust, about love. I never thought I would bond with another being again, Zyrek said one night. The ship hummed around them as it traveled through space. After my mates died, I thought that part of my life was over. I thought I would spend the rest of my years alone. I felt the same way, Jake said. After my last relationship ended badly, I swore off getting close to anyone. I thought it was safer to be alone. I thought I could protect myself from pain by keeping everyone at a distance. We were both wrong, Zyrek said. Yes, very wrong. Zyrek's scales shifted to pink. Jake had learned this meant contentment, happiness. Do you think other humans and Kivor could bond like we have? Could our species learn from each other? Jake thought about it. I do not know. We are both rare cases. We were both so lonely that we were willing to break the rules. Most humans would find it strange to bond with an alien. Most Kivor would find it shameful. Then we are pioneers, Zyrek said. We are showing that it is possible. That connection can cross any barrier if both beings are willing. I like that, Jake said. Pioneers of a new kind of relationship. They reached the planet on the 4th day. It was as beautiful as Zyrek had described. Warm oceans covered most of the surface. The forest did glow in the dark, filled with bioluminescent plants. The temperature was perfect for both of them. They landed the ship near one of the glowing forests. Jake stepped out first, breathing in the warm air. After months on the frozen moon, the warmth felt incredible. Zyrek followed, all 4 arms spread wide. The alien scales brightened in the heat. This is wonderful, Jake said. He looked around at the strange plants. Everything glowed with soft blue and green light. I have never seen anything like this. This planet is called Lumara in my language, Zyrek explained. It means light home. My people discovered it generations ago. We use it as a rest stop on long journeys. There are no settlements here, no cities, just nature and warmth. They set up a small camp near the ship. Jake gathered samples of the glowing plants for study. Zyrek showed him which ones were safe to touch and which ones were not. Some of the plants could burn skin. Others had healing properties. That night they did not sleep in the ship. They lay on the soft ground under the stars. The glowing forest surrounded them. The air was warm and comfortable. For the first time since they met, Zyrek did not need Jake's body heat to survive. But Zyrek still moved close to Jake, still pressed against him, still intertwined their hands. You do not need my warmth here, Jake said softly. You could sleep alone if you wanted. I do not want to, Zyrek replied. The alien scales were gold again. I need your closeness now for a different reason. Not for survival, for happiness, for love. Jake smiled in the darkness. I feel the same way. They spent a week on Lumara. They explored the forests. They swam in the warm oceans. They lay on beaches with sand that sparkled like diamonds. They talked about their pasts, their fears, their dreams for the future. Jake learned that Zyrek had been a teacher before the plague killed its family. The alien had taught young Kivor about the universe, about other species, about the importance of understanding differences. Zyrek learned that Jake had been running from his problems when he took the job on Epsilon 7. He had broken up with his partner. He had argued with his family. He had felt like a failure. The isolation seemed like a punishment he deserved. "You are not a failure," Zyrek said firmly. They were sitting on a beach watching the sunset. "You are brave. You saved my life when you could have let me die. You opened your heart when you could have stayed closed. That is not failure. That is courage." "I never thought of it that way," Jake admitted. "That is because you are too hard on yourself," Zyrek said. "Humans seem to have this problem. You hold yourselves to impossible standards. Then you punish yourselves when you cannot meet them." Jake laughed. "You are probably right." On their last night on Lumara, Zyrek took Jake to a special place. It was a clearing in the forest where the glowing plants grew in a perfect circle. In the center was a pool of water that reflected the stars above. "This is a bonding site," Zyrek explained. "My people come here when they want to form a permanent bond." "A mate bond?" Jake's heart started beating faster. "Why did you bring me here?" Zyrek's scales shifted through many colors. Nervousness, hope, love. "Because I want to bond with you properly. In the way of my people. I know we have already bonded in our own way. But this would make it official. It would mean we are committed to each other for life. But I am human," Jake said. "Can humans even participate in Kivor bonding?" "I do not know," Zyrek admitted. "No one has ever tried. But I want to try. If you are willing." Jake looked at the beautiful clearing, at the glowing plants and the reflecting pool, at Zyrek's hopeful face and golden scales. He thought about everything they had been through together. The cold of Epsilon 7, the warmth they shared, the trust they built, the love they found. "Yes," Jake said. "I want to bond with you." "Tell me what to do." Zyrek explained the ceremony. It was simple but meaningful. They would stand in the pool together. They would speak their commitment to each other. They would exchange something precious. For Kivor, it was usually a scale from their body. For Jake, he would give something of equal value. They stepped into the pool. The water was warm and felt alive somehow. It glowed where they touched it. Zyrek spoke first. The alien's voice was musical and serious. "I, Zyrek of the Kivor, offer my bond to Jake Morrison of Earth. I promise to share warmth with you. To face the universe by your side. To honor your ways as you honor mine. To love you until the stars go dark." Jake felt tears on his cheeks. He spoke from his heart. "I, Jake Morrison of Earth, accept your bond and offer mine in return. I promise to stand with you through cold and warmth. To learn from you and teach you. To be your family when you have none. To love you for as long as I live." Zyrek reached up with one hand and carefully removed a scale from its chest. The scale was large and beautiful, shimmering with all the colors Zyrek could create. The alien handed it to Jake. Jake took off the chain he wore around his neck. On it was a small pendant his mother had given him years ago. It was the last thing he had from his family. He placed it in one of Zyrek's hands. The moment they exchanged gifts, the water in the pool began to glow brighter. It swirled around them in patterns. Zyrek's scales blazed with golden light. Jake felt warmth spread through his entire body. Not physical warmth. Something deeper. Something that touched his soul. "It is done," Zyrek said. The alien's voice was filled with joy. "We are bonded." "You are mine and I am yours." Jake pulled Zyrek close and kissed the alien's forehead. It was a human gesture, but Zyrek understood. All four of the alien's arms wrapped around Jake in a tight embrace. They stood in the glowing pool for a long time, holding each other. Two beings from different worlds, different species, different cultures, but bonded now by love and choice. When they finally left the pool, Jake wore Zyrek's scale on a chain. Zyrek wore Jake's pendant on its translator box, symbols of their bond, visible for anyone to see. They returned to the ship the next morning. As they prepared to leave Lumara, Jake looked back at the glowing forests one last time. "Thank you for bringing me here," he said to Zyrek. "For the bonding ceremony. For everything." "Thank you for saying yes," Zyrek replied. "For accepting me. for loving me despite our differences. They left Lumara and continued their journey. Over the next months, they visited many worlds. Some were beautiful, some were dangerous, some were boring, but they experienced them all together. They met other species. Some were friendly, some were hostile, some were curious about the human Kivor pair. Jake and Zyrek became known in certain trading posts as the unusual couple, the pioneers who proved that different species could bond. Not everyone approved. Some Kivor they met were disgusted by Zyrek's choice. They called the alien shameful. They said Zyrek had dishonored their people. But Zyrek ignored them. The alien had Jake, and that was enough. Some humans they met were confused by Jake's choice. They asked why he would bond with an alien when there were billions of humans. But Jake ignored them too. He had Zyrek, and that was all that mattered. Through it all, they stayed true to each other. They faced challenges together. They celebrated victories together. They grew together. And every night, no matter where they were, they shared warmth. Not because Zyrek needed it to survive, but because they both needed it to thrive. A year passed since they left Epsilon 7. Jake and Zyrek had visited dozens of worlds. They had seen wonders beyond imagination, ancient ruins on dead planets, nebulas that painted space with color, stations where 100 species traded goods and stories. Through it all, their bond grew stronger. But Jake noticed something changing in Zyrek. The alien became quiet sometimes, lost in thought. The scales would flicker with colors Jake could not quite read. "What is wrong?" Jake asked one evening. They were traveling between systems. The ship hummed around them. "You have been distant lately." Zyrek was silent for a moment. Then the alien spoke. "I have been thinking about my homeworld. I have not been there in 4 years. Not since my mates died. I left because the memories were too painful. But now..." The alien's scales shifted to blue. "Sadness. Now I wonder if I should return, if I should face my past." "Do you want to go back?" Jake asked. "I do not know," Zyrek admitted. "Part of me wants to show my people that I survived, that I found happiness again, that bonding with you was the right choice. But another part of me is afraid. Afraid they will reject me. Afraid they will see our bond as shameful." Jake took one of Zyrek's hands. "Whatever you decide, I will be with you. If you want to go back, we go back. If you want to avoid it forever, we avoid it forever." Zyrek looked at Jake. The alien's golden eyes were wet. Jake had learned that Kivor could cry, though their tears were different from human tears. They were thicker, almost like oil, and they glowed faintly. "You would face rejection with me?" Zyrek asked. "Face a whole planet of people who might hate us?" "Yes," Jake said simply. "We are bonded. That means we face everything together. Good and bad." Zyrek pulled Jake close, all 4 arms wrapped around him. "Then let us go to my home world. Let us show them what we have become. And if they reject us, at least we tried." They changed course. The journey to the Kivor homeworld took 3 weeks. During that time, Zyrek told Jake more about Kivor culture, about the strict rules around physical contact, about the importance of emotional control, about the shame that came with showing weakness. "It sounds exhausting," Jake said honestly. "Always hiding your feelings, always keeping distance from others." "It is," Zyrek agreed. "That is why the plague was so devastating. My people were already isolated from each other emotionally. When the plague killed so many, we had no tools to help each other grieve. We could not comfort each other. We just suffered alone." "That is horrible," Jake said. He felt anger for Zyrek's people. Anger that they made life so hard for themselves with their rules. "It is our way," Zyrek said. Or it was. Maybe it is time for change. Maybe seeing us together will help them understand that there are other ways to live. They arrived at the Kivor homeworld on a bright morning. The planet was beautiful. It had cities made of crystal that caught the light, forests of tall, thin trees with purple leaves, oceans that were emerald green. The whole planet seemed to glow. As they landed at the main spaceport, Jake felt nervous. He was the first human to ever visit this world. And he was bonded to one of their own. He did not know what to expect. The spaceport was busy. Dozens of Kivor moved around, loading and unloading ships. When Zyrek stepped out, several Kivor stopped and stared. Their scales changed colors rapidly. Shock, confusion, some showed red, anger. Then they saw Jake following behind Zyrek. The reaction was instant. Every Kivor in the spaceport froze. Their scales went gray. Horror. "Zyrek," one of the Kivor said. It was an older alien. with scales that had faded to pale blue. You bring an alien to our world? An alien you have clearly bonded with? The Kivor's voice was full of disgust. Yes, Elder Krath, Zyrek said. The alien's voice was steady, but Jake could see its scales flickering. Nervousness. This is Jake Morrison. He is my bonded mate. He saved my life, and I chose to bond with him. Elder Krath made a sound like breaking glass. You have shamed yourself. Shamed all of us. Bonding with an alien is forbidden. It is an abomination. Jake felt anger rise in him. He stepped forward. Zyrek saved my life too. We saved each other. From loneliness. From isolation. From the kind of cold that kills spirits. Maybe if your people were not so afraid of connection, Zyrek would not have needed to find it with me. The spaceport went completely silent. No Kivor had ever heard someone speak to an elder like that. Especially not an alien. Elder Krath's scales turned deep red. How dare you speak to me that way? You know nothing of our culture. Nothing of our ways. I know enough, Jake said. I know that your ways nearly let Zyrek die alone on a frozen moon. I know that your rules about intimacy kept Zyrek isolated after losing its family. I know that love and connection should never be shameful no matter who it is with. Another Kivor stepped forward. This one was younger with bright scales. The alien speaks truth. We have become too rigid, too afraid. The plague took so many from us because we could not comfort each other. Because our rules forbade the very thing we needed most. Silence, Venar, Elder Krath said. You speak blasphemy, but other Kivor began to speak up. One by one, they shared their own stories. About losing loved ones to the plague, about suffering in isolation, about wishing they could break the rules but being too afraid. Zyrek listened to them all. Then the alien spoke, voice strong and clear. I was dying on Epsilon 7, dying from cold and from loneliness.
Jake offered to share his warmth with me.
To hold me through the night so I would not freeze. It went against everything I was taught, everything I believed. But I accepted because I wanted to live, and in accepting, I found more than survival. I found connection. I found love. I found a reason to keep going. Zyrek's scales turned to brilliant gold. Jake is my mate. He wears my scale. I wear his gift. We are bonded by choice and by love. If that makes me shameful in your eyes, so be it. But I am happier now than I have been in years, and I will not apologize for that. The Kivor in the spaceport were quiet. Some scales showed anger, others showed confusion, but several showed purple, curiosity. Elder Krath looked at Zyrek for a long moment. Then the old Kivor's scales faded to pale blue. Resignation. You have changed, Zyrek, perhaps not for the worse, but you cannot stay here. Our laws are clear. Those who bond outside the species are exiled. I understand, Zyrek said. I did not come back to stay. I came back to show that I survived, that I found happiness, and to say goodbye properly. Zyrek spent 3 days on the homeworld. The alien visited the places where its mates had lived, said goodbye to old friends, gathered a few belongings from storage. Jake stayed by Zyrek's side the whole time, despite the stares and whispers. On the last day, the young Kivor named Venar approached them. I want to thank you both, Venar said, for speaking the truth, for showing us that there might be another way. Some of us have been talking. We want to change the rules, make them less rigid, more forgiving. It will take time, but you planted a seed. I am glad, Zyrek said. I do not want others to suffer the way I did, to feel they must choose between connection and honor. As they prepared to leave, a small group of Kivor came to see them off. Not to condemn them, but to wish them well, to thank them for challenging the old ways, to say that maybe someday the rules would change. Jake and Zyrek boarded their ship and left the homeworld. As they entered space, Zyrek was quiet for a long time. Are you okay? Jake asked. Yes, Zyrek said. The alien scales were calm blue. I thought going back would hurt more, but it was healing. I said goodbye to my past, and now I can fully embrace my future. Our future. Where should we go now? Jake asked. Zyrek smiled, a human expression the alien had learned. Anywhere, everywhere, we have each other. We have a ship. We have time. Let us see what the universe has to offer. They traveled for years. They became known across dozens of systems. The human and Kivor who proved that love could cross any boundary. Some saw them as heroes, others as curiosities, some as threats to traditional ways. But they did not care about labels, they just lived. They explored. They loved. They showed everyone they met that connection was possible, even between the most unlikely pairs. Eventually, they heard news from the Kivor homeworld. The rules had changed. Bonding outside the species was no longer forbidden. Physical intimacy was no longer shameful. The Kivor were learning to be more open, more connected, all because Zyrek and Jake had been brave enough to break the rules. "We did that," Jake said when they heard the news. "We changed an entire culture." "You did that," Zyrek corrected. "You were the one who refused to let me die alone, who showed me that vulnerability is not weakness, who taught me to choose connection over fear." "We did it together," Jake said. He took Zyrek's hand, like everything else. They continued their journey through the stars. Two beings who had been frozen, isolated, alone. Two beings who found each other in the coldest, most unlikely place. Two beings who chose warmth over cold, connection over isolation, love over fear. And every night they shared that warmth, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Because after experiencing the bitter cold of loneliness, they never wanted to be cold again. The end.